Hey there, if you're new to this channel, welcome, and if not, welcome back. It's good to have you again. Today we're gonna have a really cool story that's gonna be basically a thriller, kind of a horror. Have you ever heard of the short story called The Dangerous Game by Richard Connell? That's what we're doing today. A little spooky, a little mystery there. For the trigger warnings, there's gonna be scenes of smoking. And because this is an old story, you know, really bad racism. Of course, if you don't like that I read it verbatim, I would encourage you to check out my little blurb about that. It's always going to be pinned in the comments or linked below somehow. And then of course, because it is a horror thriller, there's going to be violence towards not only humans but animals in this. So if any of that disturbs you, I will be listing phrases down below. I'll be listing each trigger warning before it happens, just to give you some warning in case you need to prepare or skip it. This is a very short story. It's only about 15 pages, and it's an American author. So let's jump right in. Let's see how it goes. All right. Be all official. Alright. The most dangerous game. Off there, to the right, somewhere, is a large island, said Whitney. It's rather a mystery. What island is it? Rainsford asked. The old charts call it Ship Trap Island, Whitney replied. A suggestive name, isn't it? Sailors have a curious dread of the place. I don't know why. Some superstition. Can't see it, remarked Rainsford. Okay, yeah. Trying to peer through the dank tropical night that pressed its thick, warm blacknesses in upon the yacht. Alright, we have the location. So they are on a yacht. Oh lord. Technical difficulties.
Houston, we have a problem.
And then, let's see, we have this guy. What's this guy's name? Whitney. He's describing this place called Ship Trap Island. He's on the yacht. We'll put our Mr. Whitney right there. Perfect. He looks like a Whitney. And then Rainsford. Trying his best to see this island. Let's see, what does he look like? Rainsford, listening to Whitney. There he is. Yeah, he looks as confused as I am so far. Okay, we're gonna have a discussion. He's on a yacht though. I'd like to be on a yacht right now. Maybe not tropical though, mosquitoes. You've very good eyes, said Whitney. And I've seen you pick off a moose moving in the brown fall bush at 400 yards. But even you can't see 4 miles or so through a moonless Caribbean night. Nor 4 yards, admitted Rainsford. Ugh, it's like moist black velvet. Ew. He hasn't picked up on the memo. We don't like the words moist. Okay, so we're trying to find this island. Rainsford has good eyesight, but you know, 4 miles is 4 miles. It will be light enough in Rio, promised Whitney. You should make it in a few days. We should make it in a few days. I hope the Jaguar guns have come from Prudy's. We should have some good hunting up in the Amazon. Great sport hunting. Okay, so they're hunters. The best sport in the world, agreed Rainsford. For the hunter, amended Whitney, not for the Jaguar. Fair point. Fair point, yeah. Don't talk rot, Whitney. You're a big game hunter, not a philosopher. Who cares how a jaguar feels? Perhaps the jaguar does. Burn. Bah, they've no understanding. Even so, I'd rather think they understand one thing, fear. The fear of pain and the fear of death. Maybe. Whitney's got a point. Nonsense, Rainsford laughed. This hot weather is making you soft, Whitney. Be a realist. The world is made up of 2 classes. The hunters and the huntees. Luckily, you and I are hunters. Do you think we have passed that island yet? I can't tell in the dark. I hope so. Sounds like a bad island. Why? The place has a reputation. A bad one. Into sailor lore somehow. Didn't you notice the crew's nerves seemed a bit jumpy today? They were a bit strange now that you mention it. Even Captain Nielsen. Yes, even that tough-minded old Swede who go up to the devil himself and ask for a light. Those fishy blue eyes held a look I've never seen there before. All I could get out of him was, "This place has an evil name among seafaring men, sir." Then he said gravely, "Don't you feel anything?" Now, you mustn't laugh, but I did feel a sort of chill, and there wasn't a breeze. What I felt was a mental chill. A dread. "Your imagination," said Rainsford. "One superstitious sailor can't taint a whole ship's crew with his fear." Maybe. Sometimes I think sailors have an extra sense which tells them when they are in danger. Anyhow, I'm glad we are getting out of this zone. Well, I'll turn in now, Rainsford. I'm not sleepy. I'm going to smoke another pipe on the afterdeck. Alright, well, there you have it, guys. Now all I can think about is the poor jaguar. And that poor moose. So I guess they're gonna go hunt. Hold on. It'll be light enough in Rio. So it's gotta be Rio de Janeiro. They're going to South America, it sounds like, to go and kill jaguars. With hopefully good guns that came from Prudy's. That was a very ominous thought. Like, even cannibals won't go to this island. The flips on this island, man. More cannibals? Scarier cannibals, right? It's worse than cannibals. That's like the worst.
Illinois Nazis.
Alright. Well, Rainsford seems to not give a crap about how the animals feel when they die. It's weird that Whitney's like, sucks for the jaguar, but he's still gonna hunt a jaguar, but like, whatever. Weirdo. Alright, let's keep going. There was no sound in the night as Rainsford sat there, but the muffled throb of the yacht's engine and the swish and ripple of the propeller. Rainsford, reclining in a steamer chair, puffed at his favorite briar. The sensuous drowsy of the night was on him. It's so dark, he thought, that I could sleep without closing my eyes. The night would be my eyelids. And a brump sound started him. Off to the right he heard it, and his ears, expert in such matters, could not be mistaken. Again he heard the sound, and again, somewhere, off in the blackness, someone had fired a gun 3 times. Okay. That's not good. Hopefully not at him. Rainsford sprang. Oh, sorry. He's not here anymore. He turned in. Rainsford sprang up, moved quickly to the rail, mystified. Oh, because his expert hearing. He knew. Expert eyes and expert hearing. That's great. He strained his eyes in the direction from which the reports had come. But it was like trying to see through a blanket. A moist blanket made of velvet, we've been told. He leaped upon the rail and balanced himself there to get greater elevation. Because when you can't see, you need to be able to not be able to see higher up. Yeah. His pipe, striking a rope, was knocked from his mouth. Not his pipe!
No! God, please, no! No!
He lunged for it. Oh, short, hoarse cry came from his lips as he realized he had reached too far and lost his balance. The cry was pinched off short as the blood-warm waters of the Caribbean Sea closed over his head. Man overboard. Dude went and he fell into the water. Also known as an idiot.
What an idiot.
He struggled to the surface and cried out, but the wash from the speeding yacht slapped him in the face, and the salt water in his open mouth made him gag and strangle. Desperately, he struck out after the receding lights of the yacht, but he stopped before he had swum 50 feet. A certain cool-headedness had come to him, for this was not the first time he had been in a tight place. This guy's been everywhere. He knows. There was a chance that his cries could be heard by someone aboard the yacht, but that chance was slender and grew more slender as the yacht raced on. He wrestled himself out of his clothes. The lights of the boat became faint and vanishing fireflies. Then they were blotted out by the night. Dude, the boat? The boat. The boat said he went in bed. Gone. Dude's just... There's this island, right? And dude's just hanging out. Hanging out in the water. He's bobbing. Ransford, you're an idiot. Did you get your pipe? This was all for the pipe, right? Nah. Scuttle has that pipe now. Rainsford remembered the shots. Yeah, the whole point. They had come from the right, and he doggedly swam in that direction, swimming slowly, conserving his strength. It's good. It's not a race. For a seemingly endless time, he fought the sea. He began to count his strokes. He could do possibly 100 more, and then he heard a sound. It came out of the darkness, a high, screaming sound, the cry of an animal in an extremity of anguish and terror. He did not know what animal made the sound. Okay. Me either. With fresh vitality, he swam toward it. He's like, oh, okay, I know where I'm going. He heard it again. Then it was cut short by another note. Crisp. Staccato. Pistol shot. Murmured Rainsford, swimming on. Keep swimming, bro. You're gonna swim towards the pistols. Okay. See, even back then, the horror movie people made really dumb decisions.
Bro, how you not scared of this, man?
Just saying. The island that's worse than cannibals. You're gonna go to the sound of the guns. Alright. See how that works out for you. Yeah? You guys see? Okay. 10 minutes of determined effort brought to his ears the most welcome sound he had ever heard. The breaking of the sea on a rocky shore. He was almost on the rocks before he saw them. On a night less calm, he would have been shattered against them. Thank God it was calm. Jeez. You're lucky.
You are a lucky bug.
With his remaining strength, he dragged himself from the swirling waters. Jagged crags appeared to jut into the opaqueness. He forced himself up, hand over hand, grasping, his hands raw. He reached a flat place at the top. He goes... Sure. We'll call that the fat place. That sounds good. Dense jungle came down to the edge of the cliffs, and careless of everything but his weariness, Rainsford flung himself down and tumbled into the deepest sleep of his life. He's sleeping now. You know, if I had swam that much, I'd probably, be pretty tired too. When he opened his eyes, he knew from the position of the sun that it was late in the afternoon. Sleep had given him vigor. A sharp hunger was picking at him. Me too. I need some popcorn. Where there are pistol shots, there are men. Where there are men, there is food, he thought. But he saw no sign of a trail through the closely knit web of weeds and trees. It was easier to go along the shore. Not far from where he had landed, he stopped. Some wounded thing. By the evidence, a large animal had crashed about in the underwood. A small glittering object caught Rainsford's eye and he picked it up. It was an empty cartridge. I don't know where the pistol shots came from. A .22, he remarked. That's odd. It must have been a You're awake now. I gotta keep up with this. A 22. That's odd. Must have been a fairly large animal, too. The hunter had his nerve with him to tackle it with a light gun. It is clear the brute put up a fight. I suppose the first 3 shots I heard were the hunter flushed his quarry and wounded it. The last shot was when he trailed it here and finished it. He examined the ground closely and found what he had hoped to find. A print of hunting boots. They pointed along the cliff in the direction he had been going. Eagerly, he hurried along, for night was beginning to settle on the island. Alright. My dude's coming up. He's got... What do you got? We got a jungle now? And... Stop it. We got a jungle now, and our man Rainsford decides that he's gonna go through the jungle. He's gonna follow this trail. He's gonna follow this hunter's boot prints. I mean, yeah, like clearly the dude, the other guy with the pistols clearly got food. But, yeah. I mean, I've never been stranded on an island before, but trail has to lead somewhere, right? Go get it, Rainsford. Darkness was blacking out sea and jungle before Rainsford sighted the lights. He came upon them as he turned a crook in the coastline, and his first thought was that he had come upon a village, as there were so many lights. But as he forged along, he saw that all the lights were in one building, a chateau on a high bluff. 1 moment, please. Ooh. Mirage. It's a mirage. Mirage, thought Rainsford. But the stone steps were real enough. He lifted the knocker, and it creaked up stiffly. As if it had never before been used. Okay. The door opening, let out a river of glaring light. A tall man, solidly built and black-bearded to the waist, stood facing Rainsford with a revolver in his hand. Uh-oh. Okay, Rainsford made it up to the chateau. He's at the door. He's saying, hey guys, what's going on? And this mofo is standing in the doorway, pistol, just right in his face. Don't be alarmed, said Rainsford, with a smile that he hoped was disarming. I'm no robber. I fell off a yacht. Stupid. I fell off a yacht. My name is Sanger Sanger.
Move this man!
My name is Sanger Rainsford of New York City. Yeah, that's gonna explain everything, bro. You got a man with a pistol in your face. Dude's brave, I give you that. Man gave no sign that he understood the words, or had even heard them. The menacing revolver pointed as rigidly as if the giant were a statue. Another man was coming down the marble broad steps, an erect, slender man in evening clothes. Not gonna go there, not gonna say it. He advanced and held out his hand, in a cultivated voice, marked by a slight accent, which I'm not going to do, which gave it added precision and deliberateness, he said. It's a great pleasure and honor to welcome Mr. Sanger Rainsford, the celebrated hunter, to my home. You know who he is? Who's this guy? Hold on. Automatically, Rainsford shook the man's hand. I've read your book about hunting snow leopards in Tibet, explained the man. I am General Zaroff. All right. General Zaroff. Rainsford's first impression was that the man was singularly handsome. That's good. His second, that there was a bizarre quality about the face. The general was a tall man, past middle age, for his hair was white. but his eyebrows and mustache were black. His eyes, too, were black and very bright. He had the face of a man used to giving orders. Turning to the man in uniform, he made a sign. The fellow put away his pistol, saluted, and withdrew.
Spooky.
Ivan is incredibly strong, remarked the general, but he has the misfortune to be deaf and dumb. A simple fellow, but a bit of a savage. Is he Russian? A Cossack, said the general, and his smile showed red lips and pointed teeth. So am I. Come, we shouldn't be chatting here. You want clothes, food, and rest. You shall have them. This is a most restful spot. Okay. Ivan had reappeared, and the general spoke to him with lips that moved but gave forth no sound. Follow Ivan, if you please, Mr. Rainsford. I was about to have my dinner, but will wait. I think my clothes will fit you. Okay, he's done. It was to a huge, beamed, ceilinged bedroom with a canopied bed large enough for 6 men that Rainsford followed the man. Ivan laid out an evening suit, and Rainsford, as he put it on, noticed that it had come from a London tailor. Perhaps you were surprised, said the general, as they sat down to a dinner in a room which suggested a baronial hall of feudal times, that I recognized your name. But I read all books on hunting published in English, French, and Russian. I have but one passion in life, and that is the hunt. All right, change of scenery. They are eating now. Boop. That looks like a nice baron's hall for dining. I swear they're gonna eat and I'm gonna get hungry. Okay, so he's there. And, like, I doubt this General Zoroff has taken his gun. But, like, it's a picture. We deal with it. This is low budget. It's fine. You have some wonderful heads here, said Rainsford, glancing at the walls. That Cape Buffalo is the largest I ever saw. Oh, that fellow? He charged me, hurled me against a tree, and fractured my skull. But I got the brute. I've always thought, said Rainsford, that the Cape Buffalo is the most dangerous of all big game. For a moment, the general did not reply. Then he said slowly, No, the Cape Buffalo is not the most dangerous. He sipped his wine. Here, in my preserve on this island, I hunt more dangerous game. Is there big game on this island? The general nodded. The biggest. Really? Oh, it isn't here naturally. I have to stock the island. What have you imported, General? Tigers? The general grinned. No, hunting tigers ceased to interest... I guess I'm doing an accent. No, hunting tigers ceased to interest me when I exhausted their possibilities. No thrill left in tigers, no real danger. I live for danger, Mr. Rainsford.
Danger's my middle name.
The general took from his pocket a gold cigarette case and offered his guest a long black cigarette with a silver tip. It was perfumed and gave off a smell like incense. It's black and mild, it's fine. We will have some capital hunting, you and I, said the general. But what game, began Rainsford? I'll tell you. You will be amused, I know. I think I may say, in all modesty, that I have done a rare thing. Okay. I have invented a new sensation. May I pour you another glass of port? Thank you, General. The general filled both glasses and said, God makes some men poets. Some he makes kings. Some beggars. He made me a hunter. But after years of enjoyment, I found that the hunt no longer fascinated me. You can perhaps guess why. No. Why? Simply this. Hunting had ceased to be what you call a sporting proposition. I always got my quarry. Always. And there is no greater bore than perfection. The general lit a fresh cigarette. Okay, chain smoking. Okay, so real quick, this general, they're eating, they're smoking, they're living it up. Ivan's weird. A deaf mute with a big gun. Very big pistol. When I think of Ivan, just a silent, stock, huge dude that doesn't talk. Can you blame me? You can't blame my choice. This is going to be an interesting conversation. So, he stalked this island with big game. He's going a roundabout way of explaining what game they're gonna hunt. He wants to hunt together. Lives for danger. That was the line. All right, cool. You live for danger. I don't know. This guy's interesting. These are like cybernetic bears or something.
It's like a half bear, half man pig. No, I think it's more like a half man and half pig bear.
But I guess he's bored. He's bored with hunting, which you have to be a really accomplished hunter to be bored with it. On we go. The animal has nothing but his legs and his instinct. Instinct is no match for reason. When I realized this, it was a tragic moment for me. Rainsford leaned across the table, absorbed in what his host was saying. Just gonna... Really? It came to me as an inspiration what I must do. And that was... I had to invent a new animal to hunt. A new animal? Or are you were joking? I never joke about hunting. I needed a new animal. I found one. So I bought this island, built this house, and here I do my hunting. Who owns the island? The island is perfect for my purpose. There are jungles with a maze of trails in them, hills, swamps, but the animal generals are off. Oh, said the general. It supplies me with the most exciting hunting in the world. Every day I hunt and I never grow bored now, for I have a quarry with which to match my wits. Rainsford's bewilderment showed on his face. I wanted the ideal animal to hunt. So I said, what are the attributes of an ideal quarry? And the answer was, of course, it must have courage, cunning, and above all, it must be able to reason. But no animal can reason, objected Rainsford. My dear fellow, said the general, there is one that can. But you can't mean... And why not? I can't believe you're serious, General. This is a grisly joke. Why should I not be serious? I am speaking of hunting. He really doesn't joke about hunting. Hunting? Good God, General Zaroff. What you speak of is murder. Oh, he's hunting humans, bro. Yeah, he's no longer... Nope, he's gonna back away a little bit. General Zaroff, what you speak of is murder. The general regarded Ransford quizzically. Surely your experiences in the war did not make me condone cold-blooded murder, finished Ransford stiffly. Laughter shook the general. I'll wager you'll forget your notions when you go hunting with me. You've a genuine new thrill in store for you, Mr. Ransford. Thank you. I am a hunter, not a murderer. Dear me, said the general, quite unruffled. Again, that unpleasant word. But I hunt the scum of the earth. Sailors from tramp ships, lascars Whites, blacks, Chinese, whites, mongrels. Where do you get them? The general left eyelid fluttered down in a wink. This island is called Ship Trap. Come to the window with me. Run. This guy's off his rocker. Nope. Ew, and he's disgusting too. So he's a murderer and a racist. Great combo. With, you know, a henchman. Run, Rainsford! Get out of there! Go! He could probably steal a ship, right?
It is my intention to commandeer one of these ships.
Come to the window with me. Rainsford went to the window and looked out toward the sea. Watch, out there! Exclaimed the general as he pressed a button. Far out, Rainsford saw a flash of lights. They indicate where a channel is where there's none. Rocks with razor edges crouch there like a sea monster. They can crush a ship like a nut. Oh yes, that is electricity. We try to be civilized. Civilized? And you shoot down men? But I treat my visitors with every consideration, said the general in his most pleasant manner. They get plenty of good food and exercise. Yeah. Exercise? Yeah, cool. You hunt people. That's exercise. Yeah? You ever want to run off the donut, just have somebody hunting you. Jeez. They get into splendid physical condition. You shall see for yourself tomorrow. What do you mean? We'll visit my training school, the general smiled. It is in the cellar. I have about a dozen there now. They're from the Spanish bark, San Lucar, which had the bad luck to go on the rocks out there. An inferior lot, I regret to say, and more accustomed to the deck than to the jungle. He raised his hand, and Ivan brought thick Turkish coffee. It is game, you see, pursued the general blandly. I suggest to one of them that we go hunting. I give him 3 hours start. I am to follow, armed with only a pistol of the smallest caliber and range. If my quarry eludes me for 3 whole days, he wins the game. If I find him, the general smiled, he loses. Suppose he refuses to be hunted. I give him the option. If he does not wish to hunt, I turn him over to Ivan. Ivan once served as official knotter to the great white Tsar, and he has his own ideas of sport. Invariably, they choose the hunt. And if they win, the smile on the general's face is widened. To date, I have not lost. Then he added hastily, I don't wish you to think me a braggart, Mr. Rainsford.
I too am extraordinarily humble.
And one did almost win. I eventually had to use the dogs. The dogs? This way, please. I'll show you. Jeez. Okay. So, what they call a nauter? I don't know how to pronounce it. To the Great White Tsar. So that's like an inquisitioner. That's a person to torture people to get information from them. So Ivan just got 12 times more scary. He knows how to torture people.
What, like it's hard?
Jeez. So if his prisoners don't want to go and be hunted, then they are given over to a torture master. I I'd probably choose a hunt too. You think 3 hours a head start is pretty good, but you gotta remember they're on an island. So, like, you literally can't go anywhere. Yikes. See, that's crazy. Because that's just like a natural barrier. Oof. Okay. And, supposedly one almost got away, but they had to use the dogs. We're gonna find out what the dogs are. The dogs? This way, please. I'll show you. The general led the way to another window. The lights sent a flickering illumination that made grotesque patterns on the courtyard below, and Rainsford could see a dozen or so huge black shapes moving about it. As they turned toward him, he caught the green glitter of their eyes. They are let out at 7 every night. If anyone should try to get into my house, or out of it, something regrettable would happen to him.
Down.
And now I want to show you my new collection of heads. Will you come to the library?
Nope.
I hope, said Rainsford, that you will excuse me tonight. I'm really not feeling well at all. Ah, indeed. You need a good restful night's sleep. Tomorrow you'll feel like a new man. Then we'll hunt, eh? I've one rather promising prospect. Rainsford was hurrying from the room. Sorry you can't go with me tonight, called the general. I expect rather fair sport. Big, strong, black. He looks resourceful. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. Hold up. Hell no. Hell no. This guy, sick. Okay. Come see my new collection of heads? Hell no. Rainsford, you gotta get out of there, buddy. And see, the dogs don't seem very fair. If it was just him hunting one person, but like, you bring in the dogs, that's kind of bullhucky. Rude. Rude. The bed was good and Rainsford was tired, but nevertheless, he could not sleep, and had only achieved a doze when, as morning broke, he heard, far off in the jungle, the faint report of a pistol. God darn it. General Zaroff did not appear till luncheon. He was solicitous about Rainsford's health. As for me, he said, I do not feel so well. The hunting was not good last night. He made a straight trail that offered no problems at all. Jesus. General, said Rainsford, I want to leave this island at once. I'm just gonna say it like that. Not even gonna be sneaky about it, Rainsford? Really?
Too much information!
Just gonna come right out and say it. I would have tried to sneak. You had a whole dang day. I guess Ivan. You can't forget about the watchful eye of Ivan. I'm sure Ivan probably would have tried to stop him. He saw the dead black eyes of the general studying him. The eyes suddenly brightened. Tonight, he said, we will hunt. You and I. Rainsford shook his head. No, General, he said. I will not hunt. The general shrugged his shoulders. As you wish. The choice rests with you. But I would suggest that my idea of sport is more diverting than Ivan's. You don't mean, cried Rainsford. My dear fellow, said the general. Have I not told you? I always mean what I say about hunting. This is really an inspiration. I drink to a foeman worthy of my steel at last. The general raised his glass, but Rainsford sat staring at him. You'll find this game worth playing, the general said enthusiastically. Your brain against mine. Your woodcraft against mine. Your strength and stamina against mine. Outdoor chess! And the stake is not without value, eh? And if I win? Asked Rainsford huskily. If I do not find you by midnight of this day, I'll cheerfully acknowledge myself defeated, said General Zarloff. My sloop will place you on the mainland near town. The general read what Rainsford was thinking. Oh, you can trust me, said the Cossack. I will give you my word as a gentleman and a sportsman. Of course, you, in turn, must agree to say nothing of your visit here. I'll agree to nothing of the kind.
You should have just lied.
Oh, in that case. But why discuss that now? 3 days hence, we can discuss it over a bottle of Veuve Clicquot. Unless... The general sipped his wine. Then a businesslike air animated him. Ivan, he said, will supply you with hunting clothes, food, a knife. I suggest you wear moccasins. They leave a poorer trail. I suggest, too, that you avoid the big swamp in the southeast corner of the island. We call it Death Swamp.
We know the secrets of the fire swamp.
There's quicksand there. One foolish fellow tried it. The deplorable part of it was that Lazarus followed him. He was the finest hound in my pack. Mr. Rainsford, I loved Lazarus. You can't imagine my feelings. Well, I must beg you to excuse me now. I always take a siesta after lunch. You'll hardly have time for a nap, I fear. You'll want to start, no doubt. I shall not follow until dusk. Hunting at night is so much more exciting than by day, don't you think? Au revoir, Mr. Rainsford. Au revoir. As General Zaroff, with a courtly bow, strolled from the room, Ivan entered by another door. Meh. Under one arm he carried hunting clothes, a haversack of food, a leathern sheath containing a long-bladed hunting knife. His right hand rested on a cocked revolver thrust in the crimson sash about his waist, so he has a gun. Wow, okay. He just gets a knife? Like, that's cool they gave him food. Like, this isn't like Survivor. Cool, I guess. Good for him. 10 points. But, he just got a knife and the other guy has a gun. You wanna call that fair? I guess the guy is crazy, though. I guess you can't expect fair from crazy. Back out into the jungle, guys. And no more Mr. Cool, collected Rainsford. I think the Rainsford now looks a bit more like this. I would be freaked the flip out. Yeah. A knife, though? Coward. Scared of giving him a gun? Terrible. Terrible. Right back at it. Rainsford had fought his way through the bush for 2 hours, but at length he paused, saying to himself through tight teeth, I must keep my nerve. He had not been entirely clear-headed when the chateau gates closed behind him. His first idea was to put distance between himself and General Zaroff. It's a good idea, yeah. And to this end, he had plunged along, spurred by the sharp rouse of something approaching panic. Now, having got a grip on himself, he had stopped to take stock of himself and the situation. So I'm guessing he just, like, bolted, just straight bolted into the forest. I mean, I cannot blame him. I would be like, if he's over here, I'm gonna be way over here. Then I'll make a plan. I mean, that's a head start for you. That's what you're supposed to do, I guess. Straight flight was futile, for it must inevitably bring him to the sea. Is the island, yeah. Being in a picture with a frame of water, His operations clearly must take place within that frame. So you're not going to do anything outside of the island. I'll give him a trail to follow, thought Rainsford, striking off from the path into trackless wilderness. Yeah, get off the path. Recalling the lore of the fox hunt and the dodges of the fox, he executed a series of intricate loops, doubling again and again on his trail. Night found him leg-weary, with hands and face lashed by the branches. He was on a thickly wooded ridge. As his need for rest was imperative, he thought, I have played the fox. Now I must play the cat of the fable. Okay. A big tree with a thick trunk and outspread branches was nearby, and taking care to leave no marks, he climbed into the crotch and stretched out on one of the broad limbs. Rest brought him new confidence and almost a feeling of security. An apprehensive night crawled slowly by like a wounded snake. Toward morning, when a dingy gray was varnishing the sky, the cry of a startled bird focused Rainsford's attention in its direction.
Another glorious morning. Makes me sick.
Something was coming through the bush. Coming slowly, carefully, coming by the same winding way that Rainsford had come. He flattened himself against the bough, and through a screen of leaves almost as thick as tapestry, he watched. Okay, so he made a very confusing trail, and then he climbed a freaking tree and went to sleep. I mean, sleep's good. Good for him. It's important. But now you're in a tree.
I'm just not so sure how well this plan was thought through.
I feel like he's trapped. I'm scared for him. It was General Zaroff. Oh, look at that. He made his way along with his eyes fixed in concentration on the ground. He paused, almost beneath the tree, dropped to his knees, and studied the ground. Rainsford's impulse was to leap on him like a panther, but he saw that the general's right hand held a small automatic. Yeah, he has got a gun. Don't freaking jump on him. What do you have? You have a little baby Bowie. Little baby Bowie knife. Ain't gonna work against the gun. Sorry.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off.
No thanks. The hunter shook his head several times as if he were puzzled. Then, straightening himself, he took from his case one of the long, black cigarettes. Its pungent, incense-like smoke rose to Rainsford's nostrils, so he's smoking. His blackened mouth. Rainsford held his breath. Yeah? The general's eyes had left the ground and were traveling inch by inch up the tree. Dude, you're fricked. You fricked. Rainsford froze. Good job. Every muscle tensed for a spring. Oh, God. But the sharp eyes of the hunter stopped before they reached the limb where Rainsford lay. A smile spread over his brown face. Very deliberately, he blew a smoke ring into the air. Then he turned his back on the tree and walked carelessly away along the trail he had come. The swish of the underbrush against his hunting boots grew fainter and fainter. Oh, God. Okay. The pent-up air burst hotly from Rainsford's lungs. His first thought made him feel sick and numb. The general could follow a trail through the woods at night. He could follow an extremely difficult trail. He must have uncanny powers. Only the merest chance had he failed to see his quarry. Rainsford's second thought was more terrible. It sent a shudder through him. Why had the general smiled? Why had he turned back? Rainsford did not want to believe what his reason told him was true. The general was playing with him, saving him for another day's sport. The Cossack was the cat. He was the mouse. Then it was that Rainsford knew the meaning of terror. Oh, that's terrifying. Yes. Gotta do better than that. I will not lose my nerve, he told himself. I will not. Okay, then don't. Go. Do something. Do something. Dude's gone. Sliding down from the tree, he set off into the woods. 300 yards from his hiding place, he stopped, where a huge dead tree leaned precariously on a smaller, living one.
That'll work.
Throwing off his sack of food, he took his knife from its sheath and set to work. When the job was finished, he threw himself down behind a fallen log 100 feet away. He did not have long to wait. Who's that? He's hiding. He's hiding behind a log. The cat was coming back to play with the mouse. Following the trail with the sureness of a bloodhound came General freaking Zarloff. Nothing escaped those searching black eyes. No crushed blade of grass, no bent twig, no matter how faint in the moss, no mark.
Nothing goes over my head.
So intent was the Cossack on his stalking that he was upon the thing Rainsford made before he saw it. His foot touched the protruding bow that was the trigger. Even as he touched it, the general sensed his danger and leapt back quickly, with the agility of the ape. But he was not quite quick enough. The dead tree, delicately adjusted to rest on the cut living one, crashed down and struck the general with a glancing blow on the shoulder as it fell. Yeah.
Gotcha!
But for his alertness, he must have been crushed beneath it. He staggered, but he did not fall, nor did he drop his revolver. Darn it.
Oh, you almost had it. You gotta be quicker than that.
He stood there, rubbing his injured shoulder, and Rainsford, with fear again, gripping his heart, heard the general's mocking laugh ring through the jungle. Rainsford, called the general, if you are within sound of my voice, let me congratulate you. Not many men know how to make a melee man-catcher. Luckily for me, I too have hunted in Malacca. You are proving interesting, Mr. Rainsford. I am now going to have my wound dressed. It is only a slight one. But I shall be back. I shall be back. When the general, nursing his wounded shoulder, had gone, Rainsford again took up his flight. It was flight now. Hell yeah. And it carried him on for some hours. Dusk came, then darkness, and still he pressed on. He said, no more naps. No more napping in a tree, okay? This is not the Hunger Games. I'm not Rue. I'm gonna keep going. The ground grew softer under his moccasins. The vegetation grew ranker, denser. Insects bit him savagely. He stepped forward and his foot sank into ooze. He told you. He told you. He said stay out of the frickin' swamp. Idiot. He tried to wrench it back, but the mud sucked viciously at his foot as if it had been a giant leech. With a violent effort, he tore his foot loose. He knew where he was now. Death Swamp and its quicksand. Dude. The softness of the earth had given him an idea. Oh good. Do something. Stepping back from the quicksand a dozen feet, he began, like some huge prehistoric beaver, to dig. Okay, alright. Rainsford had dug himself in France, when a second's delay would have meant death. Compared to his digging now, that had been a placid pastime. The pit grew deeper. When it was above his shoulders, he climbed out, and from some hard saplings cut stakes, sharpening them to a fine point. These stakes he planted at the bottom of the pit with the points up. With flying fingers, he wove a rough carpet of weeds and branches, and with it covered the mouth of the pit. Then, wet with sweat and aching with tiredness, he crouched behind the stump of a lightning-blasted tree. Dude just made a punji trap.
It's a trap!
By the padding sound of feet on the soft earth, he knew his pursuer was coming. The night breeze brought him the perfume of the general's cigarette.
Smoking's bad. Okay.
I think the general's just a bit too cocky. Bit too cocky there, Cossack. Just calm it down. Like, you've never hunted a hunter before. It's all been sailors and everything. It seemed to the hunted man that the general was coming with unusual swiftness. Just like going for it, huh? That he was not feeling his way along foot by foot. Well, that's good. Rainsford, from where he was crouching, could not see the general, neither could he see the pit. He lived a year in a minute. Then he heard the sharp crackle of breaking branches as the cover of the pit gave way. Heard the sharp scream of pain as the pointed stakes found their mark. Then he cowered back. 3 feet from the pit, a man was standing with an electric torch in his hand.
Inconceivable!
He didn't get him. You've done well, Rain. What is that? Let's try that again. You've done well, Rain. I shouldn't have done the accent. I regret it now. But, you know, I'm committed now. Oh, I'm Russian. You've done well, Rainsford, cried the general. Your Burmese tiger pit has claimed one of my best dogs.
Gotta pay attention, okay? Gotta pay attention.
Again, you score. I must now see what you can do against my whole pack. Oh, shoot. I'm going home for a rest now. Thank you for a most amusing evening. That's frustrating. So the punji, what do you call it? It's not a punji. It's not a punji trap. At least not back then. Burmese tiger pit. Okay. Burmese tiger pit did not get the general with a really bad accent. It's not my fault. He just has his own bad accent. Now he's basically going to cheat. And he had a flashlight. Okay? So this guy has cigarettes, which I'm guessing nicotine helps when you're hunting. He's had an electric torch. He has a gun, and now he's going to have a pack of dogs. That's cheating. I don't care if you make the rules or not. That's cheating.
Isn't that kind of like cheating?
Oh, it looks like it's the second night. So the first night he ran up a tree. It's pretty sad. Well, I guess the first afternoon he ran up a tree. And then at night he made the deadfall trap. That was the first night. This night he killed a dog with a punji trap. A Burmese tiger trap, excuse me.
You know, get it right!
And now Zoroff's gonna take the whole dogs. Don't run up a tree this time, my dude. That's how they'll get you with the dogs. At daybreak, Rainsford, lying near the swamp, was awakened by a distant sound. Just waking up. You're sleeping again, my dude? Faint and wavering, but he knew it for the baying of a pack of hounds. Oh, dear. Run!
Run away!
Jeez. Rainsford knew he could do one of two things. Okay, let's see. What kind of plan do you got, Rainsford? He could stay where he was. That was suicide. He could flee. That was postponing the inevitable. Yeah, dude, you're on an island. Like, you're not really gonna get away from the dogs. For a moment, he stood there thinking. An idea that held him a wild chance came to him. And tightening his belt, he headed away from the swamp. What's your idea, my dude? It better be good. You only have one punji trap. They already know where you were. The baying of the hounds drew nearer, nearer. Rainsford climbed a tree. Told you not to climb a tree. Down a watercourse, not a quarter of a mile away, he could see the bush moving. Straining his eyes, he saw the lean figure of General Zoroff. Just ahead of him, Rainsford made out another figure with wide shoulders, which surged through the jungle reeds. It was the gigantic Ivan, and he seemed to be pulled along. Rainsford realized that he must be holding the pack in leash. Okay, so not only, like, now Ivan's stupid. We've got Zoroff cheating because he's using Ivan, and now we have, look at them, aren't they cute? They're not cute in the story though, they are cute on the paper. And a pack of hounds.
Da-da-da, we're dead.
I don't know, but Rainsford should cheat too. Because at this point, 2 guys against 1, very sportsmanship. Very sporting of you, General Zoroff. I'm upset by that. Like, we live in a society where we hunt humans. There are rules.
Certain rules that one must abide by.
There is a correct way to hunt humans. Long-standing tradition. Jeez. They would be on him at any moment now. His mind worked frantically, and he thought of a native trick he had learned in Uganda. Sliding down the tree, he caught hold of a springy yellow sapling, and to it fastened his hunting knife, with the blade pointing down the trail. Okay. With a bit of wild grapevine, he tied back the sapling and ran for his life, shooting excitedly up a tree. Okay, he's up a tree now again. Too many trees, man. He looked back. His pursuers had stopped, but the hope in Rainsford's brain died, for he saw that General Zoroff was still on his feet. Jerk. Ivan, however, was not. The knife, driven by the recoil of the springing tree, had not wholly failed. Hardly had Rainsford got back to the ground when once more the pack took up the cry. Row, row, row. Nerve, 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 he panted to himself as he dashed along the pace. A blue gap showed through the trees, dead ahead. The hounds drew nearer. Rainsford forced himself on toward the gap. He reached the sea, and across a cove could see the gray stone of the chateau. 20 feet below him, the sea rumbled and hissed. So he's literally on a cliff. He is on a cliff, overlooking the sea. See, that's the problem with an island. Now you're stuck, dude. Rainsford hesitated. He heard the hounds. Then he leapt far out into the water. Woo! Freedom! When the general and his pack reached the opening, the Cossack stopped. For some moments, he stood regarding the blue-green expanse of water. He sat down, took a drink of brandy from a silver flask, lit a perfumed cigarette, and hummed a bit of Madame Butterfly.
Sucks to be me right now.
Hey, I like them apples. I don't know how far away the nearest shore is, but like, I don't think Rainsford. If he could have swam to another island or something, he would have already done that. Well, you didn't get him, my dude. He won. General Zoroff ate an exceedingly good dinner in his great paneled hall that evening. Okay. Hopefully it was already cooked, because I think your dude's kind of dead. Sad. With it, he had a bottle of Pol Roger and half a bottle of Chambertin.
Oh, fancy!
2 slight annoyances kept him from perfect enjoyment. One was that it would be difficult to replace Ivan. I mean, where else are you going to get this dude? Where else? Mr. Inquisitor?
Oh, not the buttons! Not my gumdrop buttons!
All right then, who's hiding them?
The other, that is Corey, had escaped him. Yeah, is that rubbing you the wrong way? Poor baby. Of course, so thought the general, as he tasted his after-dinner liqueur. The American had not played the game. To soothe himself, he read in his library from the works of Marcus Aurelius. At 10, he went to his bedroom. He was comfortably tired, he said to himself as he turned the key to the door. There was a little moonlight, so before turning on the light, he went to the windows and looked down on the courtyard. He could see the great hounds, and he called, "Better luck another time." Then he switched on the light. A man, who had been hiding in the curtains of the bed, was standing before him. "Ransford!" screamed the general. "How in God's name did you get here?" "Swam. I found it quicker than walking through the jungle." The other sucked in his breath and smiled. "I congratulate you. You have won the game." Rainsford did not smile. "I'm still a beast at bay," he said in a low, hoarse voice. "Get ready, General Zaroff." "Oh." The general made one of his deepest bows. "I see," he said. "Splendid. One of us is to furnish a repast for the hounds. The other will sleep in this very excellent bed."
To the death.
"On guard, Rainsford." He had never slept in a better bed, Rainsford decided. Alright, my dude. Alright, so he snuck back into the freaking chateau and was waiting for him. Dude said he won the game. I think he just didn't want to die at that moment. You know, he didn't have his little guy, Ivan, to protect him anymore. But there you go. Calling back to the beginning of it. That was a pretty good foreshadowing when our dude said, it's not very fun for the animals. And Rainsford didn't agree. Because animals have no feelings. Why would they be bothered, huh? Huh? Yeah. How do you like it? Well, guys, that was The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell. Overall, I think it was fun. It was actually nice, short, and sweet. Didn't take that long. And it actually had stuff happening. A lot of times with classics, it'll be a lot of what people think and a lot of feelings and time lapses of people walking in the countryside and discussing political or emotional states and things. And it's just like, okay, that's very Pride and Prejudice of you. Very good.
Bored.
But, you know, I appreciated that this story actually had action. This story actually had stuff happening, you know? And I think Rainsford learned a very valuable lesson. Yeah, I'd say that Rainsford probably has a different opinion of the hunted animals. If you want a little bit more information about this story, or if you want to dig a little deeper, there was a There was an old black and white movie made that was adapted this short story. I'll link that below just in case you want to see it. It's free on YouTube. Yeah, so thanks again for coming along for the ride for this story. And stay tuned. You know, like the video if you liked it. Subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more of these short story formats. We're going to get more long form stories. More of kind of assigned reading stories that you would normally see. So be on the lookout for those. We'll be doing those in segments, and so that way it'll have a release date more specific. But yeah. thanks for watching, and you guys have a good time. Okay, bye.